Welcome to Stronger. We're going to pick it up from yesterday's message and dive just a little bit deeper on some of this. We learned about how the universe that you and I have been placed in by our sovereign God is a universe that's dying. It's going to end up in a very cold death. That's what physicists tell us. The idea of this is that you and I would be subject to death all the time, if but for God giving us one very good and clear thing that can elevate our lives above these normal natural processes. Those normal natural processes, by the way, they come all the time into our lives in different ways. Operate in our money, it operates in our bodies, it operates in our relationships. It's just constantly this entropy that's kicking in and taking us on a downward spiral. Your will is that sovereign peace, that supernatural peace of God that lives you above that which is only natural. When you choose life over death, you are choosing the energy of God to go forward. As a Christian, it's very important for us to understand that we can change today, right now. And because of that, you and I have the ability to choose life where death is the normal, natural process. We found that when it comes to boundaries around our life, many of us have put artificial boundaries by our thinking. We've accepted things that are not true and that put great limits on us. The thinking of others from our history, the things that they have said, the things that we've believed, the things that come to us in our present, the voices that are so loud that speak into us limitations and boundaries for ourselves. And so it's hard for us to actually reach for the potentials, to reach for the real limits that you have, not artificial ones. By the way, your real limits, again, I say to you, far exceed the artificial limits your thinking puts on you, or the thinking that you've accepted from others. But I think you would agree with me. It's our thinking that is actually the one that has the strongest hold back on us. Others might influence us, but it's us that actually choose our thoughts and our thinking. And if you're going to choose life, you have to choose a certain type of thinking that lets you reach for your real limits, it's not controlled by these artificial boundaries created by bad thinking. Thinking that says that you have these huge limits. You can't do this. It's impossible for you. I mean, when we start accepting all of those kinds of things, those boundaries are going to hold you down. You'll never be able to reach for the ones that you actually could have reached for. Greater potentials. They're all waiting for you. But in that, you've got to make the choice for life. And in choosing life, it's never really a downstream choice. This is always against the forces that come at you to hold you back. And when we let those forces work, we create artificial boundaries. And it keeps us from reaching for those potentials. You remember we talked about Caleb. Caleb could have been held back so easily by so many things in his life. I mean, slavery. But he gets out of that after 40 years. He's a part of that breakout out of Egypt. They get to the promised land, and then the fear and unbelief of the report of 10 spies permeates through the people, and now they have to walk 40 years for there to be a purging and a new generation to come up to go get the land and to live where the true limits are. Not the limits that fear brought to them, but limits that they had to go and fight, and they found their limits far exceeded what fear had told them. And so they were able to take the land. After 5 years, though, of fighting in the land, Caleb finally comes to his allocation, what he has always wanted, that Moses promised him, which was Mount Hebron. And on that mountain is where the giants lived. The thing that came back and caused the greatest fear 45 years earlier when they stood on the border. He had never accepted our artificial limits. He had never accepted the artificial limits of bitterness at walking with people of unbelief. He had never accepted the artificial limits of his slavery. He had never accepted the artificial limits of his age. And now at 85 years old, these artificial limits are not going to control this man's possibilities. He's choosing life. He is not letting entropy write his ticket for any part of his life. And so at 85 years of age, he goes and takes Mount Hebron. He goes and conquers the giants and the walled cities. And he goes and finishes it up. And he gets to what God had actually wanted him to accomplish. What's going to hold you back is not Mount Hebrons of your life. What's going to hold you back is fear and the thinking that it provides and the artificial limits and boundaries that it puts into your life. Your real limits and possibilities far exceed what you are speaking to yourself right now, because Christ is there to bring us power from the empty tomb. So I say to you, pick it up in your thinking. Choose life. This Wednesday, we're going to go at some cool things about success and what are the structures that really set up success in your life. And so join me on Wednesday, 6:30 to 7:30. I look forward to seeing you there. God bless.